Good morning. Good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. I'm going to start with a quick video, and this is a section from a show that I did on AI versus phone calls versus video calls. So here we go.
Video sales call technology from VidCalls.
So here's what I can tell you though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are. That is text, voice, video call. They want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
My experience is I like to meet the customers where they are. If I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers.
How do you reach people the best? You do it four ways. You do a phone call, a text, an email, and a video. So the beautiful thing about Joel's system is it combines a call with video. You're seeing the video, but it's not something static. You can actually talk.
Everything that we do is meant to enhance a human being's ability at some level or another to perform at a level that gets the desired result. You know, going back to what's the best form of communication with customers, the best form of communication is the one that helps the customer elevate to live contact with you most quickly. That's my opinion.
All of the things that we've been talking about, the human in the loop is the single most critical aspect of that. And at your dealership, that's what you have to strive for. Is how do I prepare my team to handle the interactions with the customers throughout all of these channels and to get them from engagement to interaction to purchase.
It would be my pleasure to introduce you to the leader.
So here we go.
Hey, are you Ian Nethercott, the host of the Auto Hub show?
All right.
Life is about connection. Having a support system to lean on. And roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
Hey, I'm Vince Delmonico, General Sales Manager with Cruise Ford Lincoln. Larry Feldman came out and did one of our training courses. Absolutely incredible. I sat through the course myself. The engagement that our salespeople gained from it, the excitement that he brings. It was a new way of looking at things that we're already doing and how we can improve them. Love it. It's literally the best thing since sliced bread.
How do you adventure? Is it fast? Is it free? Is it clear? Is it rugged? Is it remote? For your next adventure, trust Moto Close for buying, selling, trading, and protecting all of your motorized assets. Powered by Disclose Dealership Management Dashboard, your all-in-one DMS, CRM, menu, lead gen, inventory, staff, client, and deal management solution. Disclose DMD, like a DMS, only better. Mention promo code AutoHub2025 to get special pricing, including waive setup costs, no contract, and your first month's free.
Car dealers often underestimate the power of social media. Are you wondering why my face is plastered in your newsfeed? Are you a GM, dealer principal, or a manager at a car dealership wondering why you see me all the time on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and all over social media? Well, that didn't happen by chance. I target car dealers that are in-market shoppers for social media services, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing for you so that you target in-market shoppers for your brand of customers that purchase your vehicles. During my Viato days, helping car dealers appraise and price cars, everyone was asking me, what do I do on social media? What do I do with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? And this was back in 2016. So here we are 10 years later. I started a company, became an entrepreneur, and now I help car dealers. They either outsource their social media needs to us, or we have a training and education center where we can teach all of your employees how to do social media in-house. 90% of consumers actually follow a business on Instagram. The average adult sits on TikTok for 2 hours a day in the rabbit hole. To learn more information about it or to get a demo from one of my sales associates, click the link below. We would absolutely love to help you.
And good morning. Here we go. Just stop. And all righty. So we have lots of people on the show today. So I guess the first thing to do is start with the new people, since there's a lot of new people on the show today. I'm trying to think who was on first. I believe it was either Paul, Storm, or Ron. Why don't you start? Let's start with Paul. Paul, please introduce yourself and answer the following question: what has changed in the last 10 years in automotive, in your opinion?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm completely honored.
No worries.
And thank you for all the other people that are on. I'm looking forward to hearing what their insights and feedback are. My name is Paul Storm. I'm the founder CEO of a company called Light Blue, and we are on the client side of the operation with inside of the automotive dealership itself. What has changed over the last decade? I could firmly say everything and nothing. From a product perspective, which is what automotive is ultimately selling and building. There's been tremendous changes there, right? From whether it was going EV strategy or hybrid or enhancing ICE, or just on the product itself from a technology and experience perspective from inside of the vehicle. There's been tremendous shift. What took a decade to change headlights, taillights, and a simple stereo now has gone to within years, or if not a year and not a calendar year, you'll get complete changes within the actual infotainment system, where you'll have amazing screens and tech, and then of course safety features. The other things that have changed in the last decade is just online shopping. You see a tremendous amount of people shifting to, whether it's researching or starting their buying journey from the online digital. What took a decade to change headlights,
One second.
taillights, and a simple stereo now is going to within years, or if not a.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. To the I'll keep going on the online experience. And then you saw the people coming on board. Carvana, Vroom, which is obviously no longer with us, but that's they're starting to make more and more of themselves presence. And then the last thing is just from the driving of the actual vehicle. It's semi-autonomous, full autonomous, and now we're going completely driverless. Like, these are real things that are happening and are real and are present. So those are the things that, as far as everything that's happened, nothing that's happened is the process of purchasing one. So the in dealership experience hasn't moved an inch. And we're talking about the last decade, Ian. That could go for probably the last 15 or maybe even 20.
Right.
So there's been no movement there. The process of how you purchase a vehicle has only gotten longer. So we've actually regressed from the actual perspective. The in dealership time, just to get that channeling of really information. And I think that goes to the everything part. The vehicles themselves have gotten a lot more complicated. People want to know more because they're doing online research. They're going to the in dealership to try to find their SME, subject matter expert, to fill in those blanks, and it's just not there. On the last part of nothing is just on the value side.
Right.
You're going to go to the in dealership. People want an enhancement, right? They want an enhancement to their overall information data or just overall experience, and it's just lost. So we have everything from a product perspective and nothing from a process perspective on the actual purchase path or really purchase process.
Thanks for that. So I think we're going to go next with Ron. But before I do that, there is going to be no Lethal Sales show on Wednesday because of U.S. Thanksgiving. So if you are tuning into that show on a regular basis, we're off this Wednesday because of Thanksgiving. And for everyone in the U.S. market, happy Thanksgiving. So let's go with Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey everybody, Ron Scorado here from Blue Gorilla Digital. And I have to counter Paul because I think a lot has changed on the process inside. So I'll give you my perspective because I mean, I know as an ad agency, my workload has changed dramatically because of the requirements of what's out there now in the digital space. I mean, we used to start the month building one newspaper ad, one TV spot, and one radio commercial, and then you let it run for the whole month and changed out your used cars when they sold, right?
Right.
It's totally different. And the buyer experience, I think, has changed dramatically as well. I mean, think about just the process of online shopping, right? And we didn't have that. All right. The internet was in its infancy pretty much 10 years ago. It was there, but it wasn't, dramatically different. It's dramatically different now. A customer used to spend, their time, they'd go to 3, 4, 5 dealerships to visit a dealership because they had to get all their information in the showroom. And now everything is available online, and they spend what 1.2 visits, I think, is the average for a customer to walk in the showroom, and that's just the start. I think transparency is probably one of the biggest things right now. Customers are demanding that because they are learning more than most of the salespeople on the floor. And I say that because I see that customer experience and what happens when somebody walks in a showroom and people don't, they're not as versed as they used to be. They don't put the effort. They're not you're not trained like they used to be with a Cardone system, right?
Right.
You get a couple of guys that can do a walk around on 1 or 2 vehicles, but now the technology is so fast, the vehicle choices are so vast that the salespeople can't keep up, let alone anybody else. That's why AI is kind of taking over a lot of the areas right now because it can give answers to customers and they demand answers quickly. I mean, it used to be you would you'd call the dealership and then you'd get a call back, right? It was all straightforward BDC. And now people, your lead response time was an hour to a day. And now if it's not 2 minutes, I mean, the manufacturers are holding the dealers to that too. The back end of the CRM has a thing called stop the clock. And they
Right.
want, when you answer a lead, they want you clicking a button in their CRM proving that you answered that lead quickly. And there's a sliding scale. People, I can say with some certainty that COVID changed a lot of this behavior because people are now so demanding of everything immediately. Look at how dealer websites have changed from first 12 years ago. It was a static photo of the dealership on the front page.
Yeah.
Then we switched to sliders and you've got 6, 7, 8 offers on the front page. Now it's that Amazon experience. People are looking at their website and there's one bar and it's, type in what you want. It's that instant gratification, and customers are demanding that now from every facet of the dealership, forward and back. And I could go on there's 10, 15 things that I can tell you that have changed. I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder because there's a lot more to talk about from vehicle discovery to lead response to digital touch points to the time they actually spend in the dealership, which has cut down, retail buying. So, I mean, from my perspective, there has been a lot of change from the consumer standpoint on how their buying journey has differed from what it was 10 years ago. And it's faster and it's quicker and it's way more informative now.
So we have Joel Benson on the show, and I know, Joel, we have a Black Friday thing going on right now. Maybe you can comment on how the vehicle buying process has changed in your opinion.
Well, first of all, we're a sponsor of your show, so we realize the importance. It's good to see everybody. Peter, good to see you, and Larry, good to see you. What we do because of the shopper experience is on the dealer's website now. There's always been the telephone number to call, right? That's always been at the very, very top, and then there's a chat bot that you can chat into. Well, now there's a third way, and it's called vid calls. And all a shopper has to do to see a dealer on a video call in seconds is by clicking the tab on the dealer's website. There's no passwords like Zoom. There's no appointment setting. If the shopper's doing their research and they have a question, they click a button and they see the dealer. And they see the salesperson, they see the finance department, they see the service department. that's what we do, and that's going along with how dealerships are changing and how buying is changing. Yeah, I agree with you, Ron, and I agree with you, Paul. That's why we're in business.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank
So
you.
Brandy, I know you never deal with any dealerships, and I know like there's nothing changed in the last 10 years in dealerships. Maybe you can give me your thoughts on this.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. This looks like a great panel. I'm Brandy from Disclose and Motoclose. We are a new DMS CRM menu lead gen platform. The one thing I went to look at is, we're talking about then versus now. Not only has the buyer themselves changed, not only has the buyer experience changed, but the buyer themselves has changed. I looked at a lot of stats, and there is an increase in the new car buyer being over 50 years old. And there's also a decrease in what 24 and under is buying, and it's basically nothing. And so now we have this shift in our generational buyers, as well as aligned at the same time with being an online presence. And so, I started to look even at the difference of, like you said, 10 years ago, they were just started getting into, oh, we're going to create an internet sales department. Right. And so those shifts were happening 10 years ago. And then, of course, we fast forward now where people, there was a stat 10 years ago by Cox that said 57% of buyers in that period made their initial contact with walk-in, versus now 95% of shoppers rely on online resources. So their experience has changed so drastically that they do not have to rely on the dealer to get that information. And looking at how that plays into not only where we're at, but where we're going is so very important, right? So I'm super excited to see how this panel comes about it, but substantial changes in the buyer type, and not only how they're getting their information. So we really got to be questioning ourselves, how are we giving it to them as well?
Thanks for that. Nia, I don't think Nia's been on the show. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about your opinion and what you think. Is Nia a person? I think so. Not sure. Let's go with Chris Snellgrove. Chris, are you there?
Time to unmute. All right. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So I'm the CEO and founder of Digital Media Nation, and we're known for our brand reputation Sensei, which focuses on trust marketing for dealers. And what I feel like has changed over the past 10 years is a pretty dramatic decrease in the CX of the actual delivery. One question that we always ask dealers is, where would you rate your team's execution of customer experience on the delivery? And the most common answer we're seeing today is a 3.5. And I think that's a result of COVID, because COVID was a gift to the automotive industry, and they didn't really have to sell. They were just taking orders. And so what we're really working with car dealers right now is helping them improve their customer experience delivery and really capture that with testimonials. Because the other thing that is occurring is consumer confidence in online reviews is dropping. In 2016, 92% of consumers trusted online reviews as much as personal recommendations from friends and family. That number has dropped down to 50% this past year. So, and the reason for that is, there was in 2016, car dealerships only had a handful of online reviews. Today they have thousands. And if you look through the reviews, a lot of them are just vanilla. They become white noise because they're really not telling stories. They're like, because dealers are focused on getting the reviews. Hey, tell us we're great. So if you read the reviews, hey, it was a great experience, but they're really not telling the buying journey. And what we work with dealers on doing is telling the story, using the voice of the customer in your marketing, either with a video testimonial, a photo endorsement, or a written review. And the written reviews, we want the customers to tell their story more than just say, hey, the dealer's great. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Michael Wins. You are muted, Michael, by the way. Are you there? I'm not sure if he's still there. Kurt?
I'm here.
All right.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So by title, the Chief Technology Officer over at CarSaver. So my perspective, we built the digital retail tools that power a lot of the dealer group OEM websites. So I've been doing this for over a decade. So over that decade, we've seen a huge shift in change. So I think today consumers expect real pricing, real payments, real credit decisioning. A decade ago, digital retail was lead forms. So today you can actually transact 100% online. We brought some of that first technology to market in 2020. We work a lot with Nissan, BMW. We've done engagements with Walmart. So we've kind of been at the forefront of innovation, trying to spin out how consumers react to buying. And also in that last decade, I think a lot of it has been driven by dealer experience. And we're beginning to see consumers and buyers want to take more control of what that experience looks like.
Thanks for that. We have Mr. Larry, the one and only, on. Larry, what do you think on change in automotive? You're muted, by the way.
I'm going to kind of split my my vote here and go with everybody, because I think nothing has changed and everything has changed. Everything has changed because of people like Joel Benson, with vid calls, with Chris Snellgrove, with Reputation Sensei. But it's still back to, do you have a personality? How intent are you with following up? I hate to tell you folks, I'm all over the country and I still see BDCs that take 2 hours to return an inquiry, which is just pointless because that ship has already sailed. So I think all it means is that in a society where everybody's glued to their screen, if you can smile, if you can pay attention, if you can actually show that you're human and yet take advantage of the technology and the AI tools that are available, you're going to rock. But we could have had the same discussion 50 years ago. We could have had the same discussion when computers started to become available, when leasing became available. Technology is always changing. My idol, Ben Franklin, said, when you're finished changing, you're finished. We just got to keep moving. But more now than ever, we need to be human and we need to have better response times.
Thanks for that. Peter, do you have any thoughts on 10 years?
Just a quick one, Larry. I love you because you are the ultimate politician. I'm kind of agree with you. I think we've got a great panel on the show today. Appreciate everybody for joining us. The biggest thing that I want to share is the buyer has changed because the buyer is better educated. And the challenge that I see in stores is consumers are going into the store. They know more about the car they're interested in buying than the salesperson they're talking to. So there's a lot of changes going on. I think technology is helping it, but I do believe, and I agree with a couple of other panelists saying the sales process has got to catch up with the education level of the buyers.
100%.
Hey, Peter, I'm sorry. I just have to amend one thing. You said I was a politician. Politicians lie all the time. I only lie when I'm trying to get a date.
John Hyman, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be back here and to see some familiar faces for sure. And yeah, it's funny, you put me on right after Larry, and I've really just got to say that that's kind of where I'm coming from on this, that yes, that the tech stack and all this stuff, chatbots and, internet shopping has changed massively, but, the old school human element and the psychological factor, I'm trying to say, really hasn't changed. You still have to be persuasive. You still have to be able to sell, whether you're condensing that into a text message, an email, you're using Joel's vid calls. Like the guy on the other end of the vid call, the guy on the other end of the chat bot, if it's a human or an AI, still has to be persuasive and be able to, build rapport quickly and gain the prospect's trust, or you're not going to sell a car, right? So I think that, my perspective is, we're deep in the kind of world where a hybrid kind of model is really going to be the optimal model, where you're talking about an AI and a human team, which is what I do at Ultra BDC in terms of what we offer the dealerships to work with. You got to have that quick response with the AI, with the chatbots or whatever it is, and then you need to have the human team go in and really close it down and lock it in. That's what I think anyway.
Thanks, John. Michael Wins, do you have a comment? Michael? Anyway, we're going to move on. So, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
No,
Mike.
I couldn't find the mute button. I apologize. I'm
That's
traveling
all
back
good.
from a dealer visit.
Yeah.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with the AI working with humans. I think that is, I literally just saw that from the dealership I was with earlier. The ability to understand that we're still in the business of connection, right? They don't buy cars from robots. It sounds so cliche, but it really is. How do we leverage technology to take those things that humans do over and over, repetitive things, volume type things, and how do we escalate that into meaningful human connection? I heard a lot of that in what you guys were saying, and I agree wholeheartedly.
Thanks for that. So what do you feel is the biggest change coming in 25, 26, Michael, since we still have you on? Go ahead.
Well, I wasn't expecting to do that. We have our CTO on the call today who's representing us. But in terms of the biggest change in 26, that's a really interesting thing. Let me put some thought into that, and I'll turn that over to Kurt and see if he has any insights on it.
No problem. Kurt, what do you think?
Cool. I actually think the script begins to flip. So what we see today, that's common in the industry, is 5% actually transact, or it's actually a little less than 5% transact end to end. And what we're seeing is this omni-channel experience that consumers start online, finish in the store. I do expect to see those numbers begin to inch up. Dealers still play a vital role in that exchange, but I do think you're going to begin to see more and more digital experiences up front with the wraparound. And then I do also believe we got to pay attention to Amazon and also Carvana. So Carvana is snatching up the brick and mortar stores. They're seeing the value, I believe, in the physical presence, and Amazon wants to be the front door. So I think dealerships, groups have to pay close attention to the customer experience because we know Amazon's all about speed, and that's what people want and expect these days. So I think we're going to continue to see a push to digital, but it won't be entirely digital.
Thanks for that. Paul, what do you think?
So yeah, I actually second that. I think the biggest change is going to be, and it's true, only 5%, as great as the online experience is, and we could throw a bunch of disparate AI tools at it to try to make that online experience better, and that might rise. Only 5% of buyers actually complete the purchase through an all online website. If I look at some of the other stats from, say, Deloitte, 75% of buyers that were actually polled want a more immersive digital interactive experience from inside of the dealership. So if you couple both of those stats, one is from PricewaterhouseCoopers and one's from actually Deloitte. If only 5%, I actually agree. I think it will inch up some.Maybe we get to 7, but it's not going to go to 10. If you make that online experience better, but they're still going to fall back to going to their actually preferred dealership or dealerships to really ultimately buy. So I think the biggest shift in really 26 is how do we implement a better digital, immersive, interactive process from inside of the dealership. I also think it's going to move more from once you get to that level, it's going to move from a salesperson play to an actual hospitality play. Because the salespeople will just be making people comfortable and elevating a good experience to great and great to even greater. And the product and from the product side, you're going to see and why going digital from inside of the dealership is going to be so important and so effective is that at this juncture now, moving into 2026, you have vendors, OEs, upfitting and redoing their entire product line from going a full EV push back to ICE or really even hybrid. So getting that product knowledge and product capability to the actual client, to the actual buyer is going to be absolutely paramount and 100% critical moving into 2026 and obviously past.
Thanks. Brandy, what do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, actually. I do think that your focus should 100% be on the web experience. I've said this in the past, it kind of fascinated me that when every other industry focused on a way of making it easier to buy direct online, that we just didn't. We actually looked at how we can hold information hostage. And so I think that will be where you will see the most monumental change, is to focus on your web experience, making it easy for a client to inquire and do the whole process start to finish. I've seen even higher end franchise dealerships go towards that delivery specialist. Well, yes, it was alleviating their salesperson with the delivery side. It really is gearing towards that online experience where you can buy start to finish, and then you have somebody set up and pair your phone and show you all the bells and whistles. So how do we get there, and how do we make it easier for the client?
Thanks for that. Ron?
Actually, I think part of that will be the introduction to the dealership in the form of a phone call and the voice agents and AI that's starting to infiltrate everywhere. It's going to be huge at NADA this year. You can see the number of vendors who already stepped up. There are so many companies that are adopting AI into their own structure. And then there are the startups that are actually coming up with new offerings that turn these simple automations into full autonomy, where the agent sounds and acts like a person, but answers every call, answers every question of the customers. And the customers know it's AI, but they're willing to listen and talk because they're getting their answers done and taken care of quickly and for anything they need. So I think that's going to change the overall experience. Look, we didn't have automations and schedulers and all that. It was a simple BDC or a phone call, right? And you hope somebody picked up the phone and somebody answered. And now they're, being able to answer 100 calls simultaneously. So the dealers aren't missing calls when they switch over to the AI, and they're adopting it at their own rate and their own speed, right? They can turn it on or turn it off. They can put it into their workflows so that they still have that human touch everywhere, and that human in the loop that someone mentioned earlier is still so very important. What AI is doing to streamline that is answering all the customers' questions and then identifying what that customer, where they are in the pipeline, and if they're a hot lead, and transferring them automatically to to a live person who can now follow up and bring that customer into a close. But the appointments are being set without the help of any human interaction at all in a lot of cases. And I think that's a big change in that customer journey and that customer experience when they get to the dealership, their first initial call to the dealership.
Thanks for that.
It's a little bit different.
So, Larry, I know you're the most technologically savvy person I know. What's your opinion on the biggest change coming in 25, 26?
Well, first of all, the extent of my knowledge of AI is I can spell AI. Short of that, there's not a whole lot I can do. I think with what gentleman just said, the fact that you can set appointments on Sunday or 4 o'clock in the morning is fabulous. The negative is, I don't think there's anybody on this program, if they're honest, even though some of you are very, very advanced technically, likes talking to somebody, and all of a sudden you realize you're talking to an avatar, not to a real person. So I think, once again, it's that fine line. We need to accentuate every tool we have, because business isn't going to get any easier in the next 5 or 10 years, right? You got Ford selling used certified cars on Amazon. The Hyundai had a deal. We've got to be sharper than we ever were. And that means use every tool in the tool belt. But again, and I don't mean to drone on this, it's about being human. Ian, you've seen my training methods where I send people out to mystery shop and say they're looking for a car for their sister that just had a baby. If they're in their 50s, it's their daughter. All over the United States, it's crazy. Instead of saying congratulations, boy or girl, is it her first? It's why the hell isn't she here? What's her credit like? Tell her to look online. And as far as the AI setting the appointment into service, that's great. I own the dealership. But how about the fact that the complaints come when you can't get a human being to respond? When will my car be done? Do I need an Uber to pick up my son? So again, as technology advances, human beings have to advance. And I think we'll all agree, human beings are going backwards. Has everybody on this call seen what I've seen? 4 people at dinner all on their iPhone? Why the hell did they even go out? They should have stayed at home, right? Had Uber Eats bring something over. So as AI ups its game, we have to up our game. And to up our game, we need to go backward, not forward. Hold conversations, look people in the eye. And I think the most crucial thing is to be better listeners. Man, has that skill disappeared. So if we can just be better listeners, show that we actually care about the people that are feeding our families and paying our mortgages, we'll be fine. But to ignore AI, you're going to get run over. But to rely on it completely as a crutch is an even worse mistake, I believe.
Thanks for that. John, I know you don't talk to people, though you help people do that, but what's your opinion on the biggest change coming?
Well, it's funny. You got me in a sequence here right after Larry, and it just makes it so easy for me because he's taken all my talking points and articulating them better than I could have. So I get where he's coming. I get basically where I'm coming from is very similar. Like, I think that a lot of us have our people sort of like super dilated about how cool AI is and how it's going to just replace everything, and it's so cool. Down at NADA, everyone's into AI. Wow, yeah, in a way it's true, but AI is not going to replace like the human element where you've got like older people from the older generation that are blowing money buying new cars. Like my mom, for instance, wants to buy a new Civic. If you put her on with some chatbot or something like that, or you got some AI phone thing happening with her, she's going to hang up the phone and say, this is not happening. I want to talk to someone who knows who I am, what I'm looking for. I'm an old lady, whatever. It's not all old people, but that is a demographic, guys. I'm sorry. So I've got to really be there and like really, back up the idea that the hybrid system where the AI and the human element are working kind of in conjunction and, adapting in that way for 25, 26, it's just going to keep changing. But I'm a big believer in the old school human voice, human touch, human element, as being a sort of key thing in sales. I'm gonna stick to that.
Fantastic. So Joel, what's your opinion on change, but more importantly, what's going to change in 2026?
We have made AI human. I repeat, we have made AI human at VidCalls. How do we do that? In a AI call conversation with a shopper, there comes a point where the AI says to the shopper, would you like me to connect you with a salesperson in the showroom who can show you that model that we've just been discussing? And if the shopper says yes, AI texts them a link, and the shopper clicks the link, and within 15 seconds, they see the salesperson in the showroom showing the car that the person has been talking with the AI. So that's kind of a cool thing. That's our new slogan: is VidCalls makes AI human, and
Thanks.
that's how it's going to happen.
Joel, as a car guy, officially you won't have AI be human until it starts dating the finance manager.
So I met with Derek Simons at the Brian Bosch's convention a week ago today in Palm Beach, and we discussed how we're going to make this AI work, how we're going to bring the AI into humanization, and that will be happening within 3 weeks.
Thanks very much, Joel. So we have Chris. What do you think, Chris?
I think speed is going to be very necessary. The biggest complaint in the consumer process of buying a car is it takes too long. So we got to speed up the process. I think digital retailing will help. I do think that people still want to come into dealerships and experience the vehicles. I had a horrific experience at Carvana, just absolutely horrible. They've removed every human element from their process. I ended up not buying from them, returning the car. And then I also tried the Tesla experience, and I thought that was horrible because we went to a showroom that was at an outdoor mall. The salesperson took us to the car, stuck my wife and I in the car, stuck his head in the window, and gave us all the 5 minutes instructions, and then sent us on our way. So we went on the test drive by ourselves. I had no idea how this vehicle operated. It was cool, but it was like driving a very fast golf cart. And then I got back and left. So I think that the customer experience at the store is very necessary. It's not everyone wants to do it. Some people want to buy completely online, but I feel like that the dealers are going to need to focus on their customer experience from a speed standpoint, from an experiential standpoint. They need to focus on that.
Thanks for that. Peter, what do you think needs to change? I know you were recently looking at a car for your son, or your son was looking for a car. What do you think needs to change in your opinion?
Well, one of the things is, like, I'm going to go back to what Brandy said, because I agree. Part of the big challenge that we're facing in the business right now is our websites are really not up to where they need to be, which does not promote a engaging process. It doesn't provide all the information. Everything, I kind of agree with everybody, what they've been talking about, the whole thing. There's got to be a combination between the process where it starts and how the person starts narrowing down the car to when they get to the store and how they get to the store, whether it's talking to someone at a BDC or using AI to engage the people. The key there is they need to communicate. And there's been a breakdown in communication that goes back to the website, not doing a good job providing the features and the tools that they need, to then how the dealership is interacting. I love Joel's piece that he talked about making AI human, because now someone can call and actually get questions answered and then be able to immediately talk to somebody on a vid call. So it's all about, the whole process is changing, but it really needs to be focused on two things. Number one is making it transparent. And number two is meeting the consumer where they're at. Someone mentioned old people. I just kind of fell into that category because I recently, just turned over 60. So I kind of understand that comment, because I don't like doing things with AI. I want to talk to a person. I refuse to do self-checkout. But then you've got my son's generation, where they don't want to talk to a car salesperson. They would love to go in and have a virtual experience. But we have to make sure that we are addressing the consumers where they're at and providing them the experience that they want, or we're going to lose that customer. They're going to go somewhere else.
Thanks for that. So we're almost out of time. I think we've got time for one more round of final thoughts on change, and we know change is constant. Ron, you want to start with, what do you think your final thoughts on change for 2026 will be?
Well, I think I kind of discussed that a little bit already with talking about the AI, but overall, I think that whole human element really does need to come back in another way. One of the things that's a big stickler for me is loyalty, and loyalty seemed to go out the window. We always had the big three, right? And then all of a sudden we have multiple brands. And J.D. Power used to do a study every year. They interviewed over 80,000 car buyers. And the question they asked is, how likely are you to buy your next new vehicle from the same manufacturer? And it comes out to the average was 51%. So that means, as a dealership, not even just as a dealership, as a dealership brand or representing a franchise, half of your customers are going away the next time they buy a car from you, because there's a lot of choices, I guess, but dealers don't spend enough time touching those customers. There's turnover within the dealership, and it's at record levels. We can't keep techs, we can't keep salespeople, we can't keep everybody happy, and that provides a bad customer experience. And so anything that the dealers can do to keep in touch with their customers, whether it be service, sales, both, just touching them, talking to them, that's the way you keep a customer loyal. And you talk to them with the human. And this is an AI guy talking to you about human, but it's still crucial to the sale and crucial to the retention and lifeblood of your dealership. And if you're not paying attention to your customers, your past customers, because your past customers are your future customers unless you let them walk away. And if you're not doing that and you're not keeping in touch with them and keeping in contact them, out of sight, out of mind, right? You give them a note, you send them emails, you give them some more reason than just selling and shoving a $3.99 a month payment down their throat. You're going to keep that customer. They're going to feel good about you. They're going to feel good that you're asking them about their vehicle. They're asking them about your service. And I don't see that outreach going on anywhere near the way it should be. And that's a big factor when you figure 50% of your customers are going away to a different manufacturer altogether, not even to your own competitor down the street, right? Your nearest competitor is 7 miles away. They're going away. And so I think that's one of the things that has to change for 2026 is we have to bring back that human touch and that human element.
Thanks, Phil.
At least in follow-up.
Thanks. So, Larry, I know that there's no turnover, in your opinion, in dealerships, right?
I'm a recruiter. I'm actually in favor of turnover. Ron, the statistics you gave, the 51%, as disgusting and frightening as that is, combine that with how much business we lose out of service. You know, attrition through not having a tire display, not having, oil changes that make sense, not having it mandatory for salespeople to do service walks to let them know, hey, we actually have a service department. And if you work with our service department, not only are we fair with our prices, but you'll never void your warranty. So once again, it's keeping an eye on the ball. It's tying up the front end and the back, because again, in most dealerships, there's a wall between variable and fixed when they should realize the synergy of them working together. But you know what? We'll be all right. Look at all the crises we've survived in the last 20, 30 years in the auto business. We'll be fine. A year from now, we'll be talking about something else, and it'll all work out. Good news for 2026.
Thanks. Chris, what do you think?
Biggest change for 2026?
Yeah.
I think that dealers really need to take a hard look at the experience that their people are delivering in sales and service, and really customize that to, best suit the customer's needs, what they want. Again, they want the faster transaction times in finance. That's the biggest complaint. So how do we speed up that process? I think digital retailing will definitely help. But customers definitely want to, they want to speed up the entire process. So I think speed, and then I think that as dealers, how do we communicate trust in our marketing? They need to think beyond Google reviews. I'm speaking at NADA this year specifically on that topic, and that's how to capture customer stories instead of just capturing Google reviews. And capturing stories with video and photo endorsements is it's a process. It's a learned process. And that's what we help car dealers do on a regular basis is go in and train their teams on how to actually execute that, because it's I think it's so vital to your marketing that you deploy that level of trust with testimonials.
Thanks, Phil. Kurt, what do you think?
Cool. So final thoughts for 2026. I think this is a year dealers, groups, OEMs finally treat their websites as e-commerce agents. A lot of times today, when you look at a dealer's website, it's not really built for e-commerce. It's still stuck in 2015 lead forms. And oftentimes, if you look at a dealer website, it's compounded by competing vendor stacks. So you get a KDB, a trade pending, a digital retail tool, and they all give different answers, right? So that's not feeding into the transparency that consumers expect. It's actually slowing down conversion. It's creating a defection opportunity. So I think to really treat e-commerce and digital retail for what it's worth, there has to be a focus in 2026 on optimized conversion. And that's kind of where CarSaver steps in. We evaluate dealers' website and we take out all the pain points, friction points that consumers have in getting to a guaranteed trade value online and getting through all the steps and then picking up in store where that customer left off. So I think the future isn't necessarily online versus in store. I think the future is digital first, and then a frictionless experience everywhere. So whether they finish online or go into the store to finish that off there.
Thanks. Paul?
Yeah, thank you. Panel's been great. Thank you. Could not agree with what everybody has said here. And I think the common thread has been digital, whether it's adding AI or digital interfaces or digital interaction, but also people have also mentioned, which I believe wholeheartedly, that we can't take the actual human element out of it. So how do we actually mesh that? I think moving into 2026, we need to have a digital first experience from inside of the dealership. There should not be a break where if you're outside of the dealership, it's completely digital first, whether that's online or through text messaging or video calls. And then when you show up at the actual dealership, it's completely human focused. I think there needs to be an in-dealership experience that's completely digital, immersive, interactive, connected, memorable. I think that'll build tremendous brand awareness, tremendous brand advocacy. I heard somebody mention that there. And then on the actual review side, to actually Chris's point, it's not forced at that point. When you create the experience from inside of the dealership, that's taking the best of digital and the best of human, and you combine those and make that experience joyful, memorable, palpable, those reviews will just come flowing, and the advocacy, not only for the brand or for the dealership, it will just grow. And that's, I strongly believe, somebody mentioned, I think there's a very optimistic future. I can't remember who said in really 2026, and I feel the exact same.
Thanks very much. Joel, what do you think?
I agree with what everybody has said, and I believe that people like Chris and Larry are going to, in the future, in the very near future, are going to need to train sales personnel inside the dealership to take the video call from the customer. And I've seen cases of this already. We've actually sold cars at Spikes Ford where a customer came into the dealership. They got mobbed by people saying, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" And the person says, "No, I see the person I was talking to on a video call. That's the one I want to buy my car from." So it's all about treating the customer fairly, making that experience. People are still a little bit afraid of getting on video calls. We've seen some women have told us that they've actually got dressed up before they wanted to do a video call into a dealership just to look good. So there's some psychology behind it. It's all fun. It's all interesting and very educational. So 26 is going to be a big year of change, in my opinion.
Brandy, what do you think on getting dressed up for a video call?
I'm so glad to be the next one. I'm going to tell you, Joel, I love it when it's on Zoom because there's this little filter that makes me look like I have makeup and it's golden. So if you do anything, maybe incorporate some filters into that calling, and then we don't have to do our makeup. I'm obviously from Disclose, so I say disclosure all the way around. Disclosure builds trust. Trust is what clients are looking for. They don't want to rely on it from the internet. So if we actually just did a little bit more to build transparency in everything that we're doing, a transparency will absolutely equal more sales. There was a study done by Capital One in 2024 that said 48% of buyers said trust, not price, is the most important factor in their purchase decision. Trust doesn't come from anything else but a human factor. So
thanks for that. Peter, final thought to you.
Final thought is, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I got to tell you, if I was a dealer sitting on this call, I would walk away with a lot to think about. So great job. I agree with the various comments, and I think this was one of the most productive shows from a standpoint of hearing a lot of different point of views and a lot of great information. So I want to thank everybody. Ian, great job as always. I think next year is going to be phenomenal. Again, the common word is transparency and customer experience. And I think if we can help people improve that at the dealership level, it's going to be a great new year.
Thanks very much. And if you are interested in checking out the next generation of digital retail, check out easy.car. That's easy.car. They just started a new process last week with managers walking customers through the digital retail process with VidCalls. So take a look at it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And have yourself a great Thanksgiving holiday and a great season. And thanks for taking the time today. I appreciate it. Bye for now.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ian.
Everybody.